member and House Select Committee on the Strategic Competition with China member Carlos Gimenez. Congressman, thank you very much for being here this morning. Tell us how it all went down yesterday.
Well, it went down pretty much as we thought it would go down, except we were missing a couple of members, and so I believe that the Democrats were missing a couple of members, but we ended up with a one-vote swing. We got the motion to reconsider, that passed, and then came the impeachment vote, and it passed by one, which is what we thought we were going to get. We're going to pass it by one vote.
I mean, what is his answers to all of the evidence that you all talk about all the time, whether it be 10 million illegals having come to America on Joe Biden's watch? Included in that number are people who are on the terrorist watch list. Included in that number are Chinese nationals flooding across the southern border and into the U.S. Customs and Border Protection sources told Fox News agents apprehended 269 Chinese nationals just in the San Diego border sector Monday. More than 200,000 Chinese nationals have now been encountered so far this fiscal year, compared to 450 nationals from China encountered for all of fiscal year 2021. We know that these people are largely military-aged men, Congressman. What does Mayorkas say about this, and what is your reaction to the Chinese national encounters?
Well, first of all, the Secretary, until very, very recently, said everything was okay. The border was secure and that everything was, pretty much going along as what they planned, until they finally had to face the fact when the President himself said the border is not secure and that we have a crisis at the border. We've been saying it for 3 years. The Secretary has denied it for 3 years. The Secretary violated the law repeatedly and created this crisis. He also breached his public trust. And so that's why he was impeached for breaking the law and violating his and breaching his public trust. And so, look, as far as the numbers are concerned, all of this is Joe Biden and Secretary Mayorkas doing. It started on the first day of his presidency, the changing of all the policies, the rewriting or the elimination of executive orders from President Trump that had actually brought the border under control. Biden threw it away on his first day. We kept telling him what was going to happen. We kept telling him what was happening and what he needed to do. Not only us, but his own people were telling him what he needed to do, and he refused to do it, which I've always said, Maria, I've always said it over and over again. This is on purpose. It has always been on purpose. And so when you purposely violate the law, when you purposely breach your public trust, you get impeached. And so that's what happened to Secretary Mayorkas.
But you have to explain why it's on purpose. I mean, I'm asking everyone, why would anyone do this? Why would anyone, the leader of the free world, leave the border wide open so that all of these people unknown, I mean, some of them are running from persecution, but a lot of them are also threats to the homeland. And what about Kamala Harris? I mean, isn't she the border czar? At last check, I don't think she's ever been to the border. Maybe she went to Guatemala once to talk to the president there, but she's the border czar. How much culpability does she have?
Oh, well, she has a lot, but she also thinks that that's it. I mean, her trip to, the Northern Triangle countries, that was it. I mean, she did her job. That's the job that she was given by the president. That's what she says. Now, you asked me how I know that this was on purpose. Well, I don't know the reasons why, but I do know it's on purpose because nobody can be that dumb. Nobody can be that dumb, all right? We've told them over and over and over again, you have to do this and this and this to get this border under control. They refuse to do it. He's not a dumb person. He's a very smart man. So after all of that, and if you've seen the results, and after 3 years you still don't change what you're doing, then it's on purpose. It's got to be on purpose, and he willfully violated the law.
You can understand how viewers are upset by this whole thing. I mean, major cities across the country are feeling the impact of this wide open border. The other day, we had illegals pulling out a gun and shooting into the crowds in Times Square, right? I mean, they shot a tourist from Brazil in the leg. She's okay. I mean, they beat up NYPD officers. We're seeing crime spike. And yet, you all are about to send $95 billion to other countries like Ukraine and Taiwan, and you still can't get any security on the border. Why not?
Yeah, because the President of the United States is responsible for securing the border. And even if we pass the law here, the stringent law that we can pass about the border, this president can ignore it. We've just had 3 years of it where Secretary Mayorkas has ignored the law. And so I don't want to really put all these things together. I think that that's really a false argument. Ukraine, Israel, Taiwan, they're different. They're separate issues from from the border. We have to take care of all of it. And so I go by the phrase, never let perfect be the enemy of good. We have to do good around the world. We have to take care of our border, but the only way we're going to take care of our border, Maria, is with a new president. That's the only way. This president refuses to do what he has to do to secure the border.
Wow.
And look, the reason why some of these folks are getting through is, again, one of the examples of how he broke the law. Parole is supposed to be done on a case-by-case basis. They did mass parole. That's why you're getting all these gang members, et cetera, people that have malintent coming into the United States because Mayorkas didn't do his job and Biden's not doing his job.
We're told, Tiana, that there's a Venezuelan gang in New York City right now that are stealing people's cell phones and bags, pickpocketing everybody. Tiana.
Tren de Aragua. Yeah, Tren de Aragua. That's what that Venezuelan gang is. They formed in a notorious Venezuelan prison, and then they flowed through the border.
Wow.
They were paroled en masse, and they're here not only in New York. They're in Miami, in my hometown in Miami. They murdered a former Venezuelan police officer there, and so we're on the lookout for those gangs in Miami too. So it's all around the country, and that's just one gang that we know is here. We know there's plenty more gangs around that have, again, flowed right in, with this disastrous border policy of Mayorkas and Biden.
So what do they have, like safe houses here in America where they're stashing their drugs and people?
They set up, look, they set up their operations all across the country. It's a multinational gangs. They have roots back in Venezuela. They have roots back in Colombia. They have roots back in Mexico and wherever they come from. But they have, believe me, they have established a network throughout the country.
Apparently,
and so, and so they are a threat to our livelihood. They are a threat to our security. But this is what you get when you have a wide open border and a person that doesn't follow the law, like Secretary Mayorkas. That's why he was impeached.
Here's Tiana. Go ahead, Tiana.
And so what about the money flow here? Look, remittances from the U.S. to Mexico have more than doubled since 2018, and they've increased by more than 50% since Joe Biden has taken office. And most concerningly, when reporters report on these findings, the remittances stop for a moment, and then they go back. We know that these caravans are controlled by the cartels. We know that this is a very complicated and expensive operation to traffic people, not just from within Mexico to the southern border, right? The number of Mexican crossings is actually decreasing. It's from around the world. It's from Central America, South America, China, Russia, Iran. So when does Congress start sourcing the money flow of all of this? How this is being funded?
So this is being funded from around the world. Look, the multinational cartels during the Trump years were making about $500 million a year on human trafficking. Now, during the Biden years, they're making over $1 billion a month on human trafficking. It's actually more lucrative than drugs. And so not only that, do they get paid to cross the border, but then they are indentured servants if they don't pay up, the fee to cross the border. So now you're an indentured servant. There's 85,000 kids that we don't know where they are. And, God forbid, they're probably, doing some forced labor, or, they're in the sex trade, which is, horrendous. Again, all of this is exacerbated by these policies of the president and Secretary Mayorkas. This is the human toll. We've had hundreds of migrants dying trying to get here. I mean, we know that at the border. How many have died trying to get to the border? Because look, their trek isn't an easy one, but they are helped every along the way. They know exactly where to go, who they have to pay in order to make it all the way into the United States. And again, the multinational cartels down there in Mexico are making over $1 billion a month. We are strengthening those multinational, cartels, and we are actually destabilizing our neighbor Mexico, because now who controls the border? It isn't the Mexican government, it's those cartels. And so again, not only are we destabilizing ourselves, we're destabilizing, Mexico to boot.
And once they're in this country, they have to pay the drug cartels too. So they're going to have to do anything to work to make money to pay back the drug cartels. Congressman, thank you. Thanks for your leadership on all of this.